the cortisol kicks in and says, oh, no, we want to help to regulate this, make the sugar in the blood very regulated. If the cortisol goes out of balance, then the sex hormones, or your hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, these hormones that regulate your menstruation cycle and your overall energy, those are influenced. And then when your cortisol is out of balance, it also influences your thyroid levels, and your thyroid levels are influencing your energy levels, again, your weight, your sleep wake cycle. And so it's all really interconnected. So what are some ways that you usually regulate your blood sugar, or your kids? Because I find it very difficult when kids are in middle school to help to regulate them, right, Tanya?
Right, exactly. When they're younger, it's a lot easier. And when you're older and you care about your health, it's a lot easier as well. But in that middle ground, when they're teenagers, definitely just hopefully they understand some of the importance of it, and they're doing some of the basics around that.
Absolutely.
So what we try to do normally at home, and what we recommend patients do actually that we work with, it's one of the first things we do is we talk a lot about fiber. And the reason we talk about fiber is because if you think about where sugars are normally found in foods in general, they're normally coming with a source of fiber. So, fruits are really high in sugar, but they naturally always have fiber in them to help compensate for that. Same as, a lot of our carbohydrates that aren't refined, they come with a lot of fiber to help kind of regulate that blood sugar so that you don't have that spike that Hallie was talking about, which our body doesn't want, because that fiber will help to bind to some of that sugar so that it won't actually spike the blood sugar that way. So what we really want to try to do is, if you're having some Halloween candies and you sit down and you're like, I'm going to have some of these, I'm really going to go for the chocolate and the sugary ones, then we want to try to have fiber. So we want to try to have extra fiber with this. So you can do this through having something like, a whole grain piece of toast. You can add extra psyllium husk, which I do quite a lot. You can add in some foods that are higher in fiber, like have a meal that's high in beans or peas or lentils, which are really high in fiber. You can use a fiber mix as well. You can get tons of fiber mixes at health food stores now that you can just mix into water and just drink on your own. And that's generally what I do if I'm having that extra sugar, is really try to get that in. So with my kids, I'll add that in either into something like a smoothie, or I even dump it sometimes into if they have a little bit of a cereal, I'll dump it into whatever milk is there. That's a really important one. As adults, there's many different ways that we can do it, but really just trying to make sure you get that extra fiber in. And I normally think if you're doing this pure white sugar or the pure sugar from chocolate, or these Halloween candies, it's better to really do something like a psyllium husk or a fiber blend instead of toast or something, because you really want to just have pure fiber to help compensate for that negative effect that you're doing with all that extra sugar. And we didn't really kind of get into that, but I think Hallie had talked about earlier, we were talking about insulin, and most people know about this. And so we were kind of just talking about Hallie, insulin, and how the sugar affects that. If you want to just go that, and I'll go back.
Yeah, of course. So insulin, just to clarify, we hear glucose, insulin. What do these mean? The insulin is actually what we call it kind of like the key into, to bring the sugar into the cells. And so away from, if your insulin helps to actually take the sugar out of the blood and bring it inside of the cell. So again, helping to regulate that blood sugar, the sugar that's in your blood. Now, insulin sensitivity is really important to make sure that it's optimized. And a couple of ways to optimize insulin overall is exercise, and then again keeping the blood sugar. It's kind of this cycle that keeping the blood sugar regulated as well. So insulin is very important, and then so is the actual blood glucose levels that you can get from going to your regular physical and regular doctor, looking at your glucose levels. That's part of a regular physical blood work. But I did have a question in terms of psyllium husk, Tanya. Do you usually use the powder or the psyllium seeds, or how do you use that usually?
Yep. So this, you can do it in either form. So there are a lot of supplement companies now that actually have it kind of, so you normally, the seeds are normally, they kind of look like grains of rice, really thin grains of rice.
Yeah.
So on that one, if you let that one kind of sit in water, it'll take a minute or two before it really gets to that gelatinous state. And what we really want is that gelatinous, that gelatinous stuff is the fiber.
Yeah.
So you don't really let that sit a little bit. Don't let it get to the point till it's gelatinous, or you'll have to like eat it like from a spoon.
Yeah.
So I normally use that, but there are ones now that are powdered and they mix easier into things. So when I'm giving it to the kids, I'm normally using more of the powdered form. And that way it mixes in easier. It does still get gelatinous, but it tends, it's a bit easier. It's less kind of like jelly or egg, and a bit easier to get in. So that is a really good one to do. And a lot of times if I do put it in the kids' drink, if I want them to drink it, I'll just tell them to drink it quickly and to get it in quickly before it gets to that state, right? So,
perfect. Yeah. And then like you were saying, you can get so much fiber from foods as well. But the issue is, I always tell my patients, if you aren't eating fiber right now, if you're not doing a lot of fiber, don't go gung ho and put a whole bunch of fiber right away. You need to do this gradually, because a lot of times, you'll be, there will be a recommendation from your GI doc that says, oh, just go on fiber and it will solve everything. But what happens, which it probably will eventually, but you really have to go up slowly with fiber. That's the big issue. Otherwise, you'll be tooting all the way across your day, and you won't have very many friends.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a really good point. It's definitely important to start slow. And we normally say, eventually you want to aim to get between 25 and 35 grams. And I normally say, even if you can get more than that. So they've done a lot of research now and shown that, fiber is really instrumental in keeping inflammation to a low. And we now know that inflammation is linked to quite a lot of diseases, a lot of cancers, cardiovascular disease, even dementia and Alzheimer's is being related to this. So really trying to make sure, and we know diabetes obviously is related to this. So just trying to make sure we get in that extra fiber, I think is really foundational and really important. This is kind of what I go over with every patient. Really look, if you want to start tracking how much fiber you're getting each day, and you'll be surprised at how little you actually get. And then if you want a handout, we have handouts actually that tell you the fiber content per food. So if you want that, just let us know. Or if you have some ideas on how you're getting extra fiber in, or how to get it into your kids, also, comment and let us know. But those are really, that's kind of a foundational one thing we say about blood sugar and trying to control that, especially when you're eating a lot around this time, is to add in that fiber. Absolutely. So the next thing we talk about is normally adding in more protein. Yes. So, right, this protein normally comes with fats. This protein helps to stabilize the blood sugar again. So we're not going to have as much of a spike. So some of the things I do, on Halloween morning, Easter morning, Christmas morning, is we have eggs. That is a guarantee. No matter what, we have eggs. And if we don't have eggs, we will have lots of nuts and seeds or some kind of a nut butter that I will add and make sure that the kids are going to have that extra form of protein. I normally even do something like collagen to get that extra source in the morning, because it's an easy thing to get into kids, an easy thing to get in for yourself. So the protein really is great, again, for stopping that blood sugar spike, which is what we really want.
Absolutely. And again, when you have that stabilized blood sugar, we're seeing so many great things in terms of helping hot flashes go down. Right. That is something that we always think that when blood sugar is not stabilized, we only think of diabetes or weight gain, right? But something as simple as that with stabilizing your blood sugar, I mean, that's really, they're so interconnected, right?
Exactly. Yep. And energy as well.
Yes.
When your blood sugar is up and down, your energy is not going to be great. You are not going to have energy all day. So just stabilizing that blood sugar is really important. More important to say, and you can actually get your insulin levels tested too, to see how, sensitive you are becoming. And that's a really big one to look at as well. That's kind of for weight loss as well. If you are kind of more insulin sensitive, then you are going to be gaining more weight, right? So it is something to pay attention to. And then, oh my gosh, I really do need to focus more on regulating that blood sugar because it's a bit out of control.
Yep.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Great.
normally the last thing we normally say for trying to help with this extra sugar is to add in extra fats. So
Yes.
we already talked about the fiber, or sorry, the protein. The protein has a lot of fats in it, which is helpful, but normally adding extra fats, these healthy fats, is fantastic. So adding in some coconut oil, adding in some ghee butter, adding in something like an MCT oil, essential fatty acids, some fish oils. These are really, really important and really great ways to make sure that you're not going to be doing or getting a lot of that damage from that extra sugar that you're putting in. So you can give your kids, a spoonful of fish oil as well in the morning on Halloween, or for the next month when they're finishing their candy, whatever it
Yeah.
is. Make sure you're
Yeah.
getting that extra. Add some MCT oil. You can add that into your coffee, your tea, add it into
Mhm.
your smoothies, right? It's just an easy way to get these extra sources of fat in.
The good fats. Yep. I think that
Yes.
that's so important. Again, just kind of looking at the overall picture to help to regulate that blood sugar to really make sure that energy is better, right?
Exactly. So I hope you find that helpful. If you guys have any comments or questions, or you want to help tell us some things that you do, or you want the handout of our fiber rich foods, we can give that to you. We hope you found this helpful. And hopefully the kids are not too crazy for you today.
All
And we will
right.
talk to you
Bye-bye.
again soon.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.